Um, Welcome to the How to Think Sideways Q&A live chat number 5. My name is Holly Lyle, and what I'm going to be doing today is walking you through the last set of questions that we have. I have quite a few of them, and I've got a bunch of stuff set up for you, including a download, which what I'm going to do is post the download link in the chat room. Let me see. Okay. And okay, this is the download for today's workshop. And there was actually no way to set this up before we went live, so I am very sorry about that. There's the link. Get the download. And download. And get the link. All right. And I'm going to display this. All right. In pop-ins, click pop-ins right now and and get my typoed download so that you can follow along when we get to the workshop. Okay, we're not going to start with the workshop, but I put this together. It should be really cool, and it will help you figure out what products you can start creating in the length of time that you have in which to create them. So from there now, I've got the chat window open, and I have Jean helping me out today. So things were supposed to go smoother, but the software that I am using turned out not to set up the, not to permit me to change the questions that, the surveys that I already had set up into new surveys. So we don't have surveys for you, except what I'm going to do is just take a second and type them live when we get ready to go to each one. Okay, so there is a survey in there now. That survey will be part of what we're discussing, so please go ahead and answer. And I'm going to go ahead and get to tell you, if you have something anonymous that you want to ask me, send a link to, or send your question to admin, and Jean will turn that into a question for me. Okay, what do we got? Okay, I'm getting, okay, the download isn't working. All right, hold on just a second. Pop-ins, get the download. Okay, can you get to the page? Okay, download. Oh, I set that specifically not to, but okay, it's all right. I've got the page still loaded, I think. No, apparently not. Okay, well, I can get in. Okay. Wow, all right. Yeah, there were some characters at the end of that that messed things up. It did not show up. Okay. So if you show up, then all right. So it was a malformation in the link. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the link into the thing that I've got set up for you. Okay, pop-ins. Okay, I can't edit from here, so I'm going to have to remove this and do it again. Okay. Create a new offer, load. Okay, download. Yeah, I'm sorry about the lag time because it really does make this a pain. Offer image, okay. Download, this is a free download. This is just a download, and here's the link. And this time without the broken copy, okay. Broken button, okay. Live chat 5, okay, now I'm trying that again, and I'm gonna watch chat and see. Okay, so somebody got a link that works? Okay, good. All right, well, the link should work now in the polls. All right, and like I said, we're not going to start with that. If you need to ask if you have a question that is specifically for the workshop, make sure you use the question button. It gives it a bright little red box, because those are the ones that I'm going to answer. I am not going to be answering just the regular chat on the side. And that, let me see. Okay. Following along here. Okay, good. People are doing pretty well there. Okay, the next thing to do, or the next thing is, if you have, I started on this, if you have an anonymous question, send it to Jean. Jean is operating admin in the back end. She will take your name out of it and set it up so that all I see and all everybody else sees is the question without your name attached. If you have just a regular question, just use the regular question mark, and I will grab those myself as we go through this. Okay, and so let's go ahead and get started. I've got a lot to cover today, and the first thing that I'm going to cover is genre. Okay, so question number 1 that I've got is, let's see, well, while I started answering, okay. Right, you've already clicked the survey tabs, most of you. If you haven't, click the survey tab and answer the question on genre. Okay, my first question is, no, let me just go ahead and first say, genre is about marketing. Okay, genre has absolutely nothing to do with the novelist. Genre is a way that booksellers discovered to put books that were somewhat similar in some fashion in aisles that other people could find. And while it is useful as a marketing tool, genre is absolutely useless as a writing tool, because you figure in every book that I write, I have some suspense. I have generally a little bit of romance. I have almost always a mystery. I have frequently a bit of horror, sometimes some paranormal. And if you are going to categorize my books by genre, you can't. You simply can't. I write everything I love into every book I write. So when you are thinking about genre, what you are thinking about is developing cover art and titles that will appeal to people who buy in one aisle. But because you are a writer and you want to be able to write whatever you want to write, if you can, you want to keep your name on everything you write. You want to write under your real name so that people can find you and connect you to all of the other things that you've written. And then you want to just make your cover art fit the aisle. You want to make your titles fit the aisle, but you want to let people find you. And so that you're not trapped in one genre that you get tired of, because all of us get tired of writing the same story over and over again. And if you want to do this and love it 30 years later, 50 years later, then you need to be thinking long-term, starting now. Okay, so now the first question that I have. I'm having a problem with focus. I made a pretty decent run off of my fantasy novels, but I discovered I'm much better with novella-sized stories. That said, I've wavered in my brand, going from straight fantasy to novella-length romantic fantasy to children's chapter books, a middle-grade fantasy, and well, I'm all over the place. I've already produced works that I haven't even published since they don't match my current works, and I'm already juggling 2 pen names. I know this is hurting my fan base and ability to produce what readers want, not to mention producing enough to sustain sales, but I just can't get my head around what I should be writing and how that matches my skill set, my time limits, and my creativity. It seems that my ideas aren't perfectly matched matched up to my original brand, and I'm worried about alienating readers who want fantasy if I write romance, or writing something with sexual content and having readers who read a YA fantasy read it. Any ideas on how to proceed without all the crazy making of my own doing and still produce enough under one pen name to sustain sales, which are already waning due to not only KDP unlimited releasing, but also to my own lack of releases. Lack of focus also slows me down to a miserable pace due to the confusion. Okay, this is a really common problem. And my recommendation here would be to get, okay, first off, there are times when you must use a pen name. If you are writing erotica romantica and you are writing anything else, you have a pen name for your erotica romantica, and then you have the name you use for everything else. And with this, you are presenting a buffer between the work that you write that you definitely don't want kids to read and the rest of your work. And how you deal with letting people know about this other sideline you've got is entirely up to you. But make sure that you have a pen name if you're writing romantica, erotica, and anything else. Beyond that, though, start by getting your name out there. The one pen name that you write, move everything else over into that pen name. Keep the title, put your new name, your real name, or whatever name you're using on it, and then say previously under pen name X on the cover, so people who've bought the book before don't buy it again thinking it's something new, but also so people can find you from who you were before to who you are now. The next thing is to understand that what makes you, what makes you the person who writes stories that people love is going to be the same no matter what genre you're writing in, no matter what set of categories and common shared elements you have from one book to the next. So if you start reading YA as a reader and you discover as you get older that the same author has written a bunch of mysteries and some romances and a whole bunch of other things, it is very likely that you will try them out. Even if they're not, if the author is somebody you really liked, then the odds are that you will at least try out one of the other things to see, well, you know, maybe it's okay. So give yourself that opportunity to reach your other readers, and you can do this at any point in your career. If you're indie publishing. If you're not indie publishing, then when you get your rights back, you can do this. You can start introducing people to your other works. But if you are already indie publishing, then just, you know, sit down, redo the covers, bring it out in a new Amazon under your original name, bring it out the way that you want to have it from now on, so that everybody can find you. Because seriously, I have people who read me in all different genres, and I write in all different genres, and they go from book to book to book across my very broad range of stuff that I write. Not all of them. You know, some people only want to read romance. Some people only want to read science fiction, and that's fine. But there are people that will follow you from genre to genre. So stick with them. Okay, next question I've got here is, you've had success writing across genres. Is it something that's achievable for all writers, or is it best for newbies to stick to one genre? Generally, there's this British saying, start as you want to go on, that I really am fond of. It means whatever you want to keep doing when 50 years from now, start doing that now. So if you already know you want to write in different genres, start that now. Because it's not a shock then when you start jumping your readers around from thing to thing. They'll find the part of your writing that makes you special in every story you write, and those folks who are willing to jump from genre to genre will follow you. Okay, next question. Am I correct in suspecting that the majority of short stories published are romance stories? I'm interested in short story writing, but not romance. Okay, first off, who cares what the majority of stories are written in? That is a totally irrelevant thing to worry about. What you want to write is what you want to write. And if you don't want to write romance, it doesn't matter that 7 million people are writing romance. What matters is that you're writing science fiction, or you're writing fantasy, or you're writing erotica, or you're writing children's books, or you're writing whatever it is you want to write. It does not matter what everybody else is doing. It only matters what you want to do with your life. The next thing is the difference between story content and advertised content is, okay, that was what I had meant to mention also. If you are writing a bunch of different genres under a different name, or under one name, you need to make sure that your cover copy is very clear on what's in the book, so that people who really hate science fiction don't accidentally pick up your science fiction thinking it's your romance. Okay, back to this question. Readers are going to read what they love. And if you are writing what they love, it doesn't matter that romance is the best-selling genre on the planet. What matters is that there are still people who want to read science fiction, and there are still people who want to read romance, and there are still fantasy and horror and all of these other things. And if you are there to provide it for them, then you are doing what you want, and they're reading what they love. All right, now I'm going to start on the audience questions on genre, and let me see what I've got here, starting down at the bottom. Okay, that looks like the first one. Okay, what if we write in more than one genre? I think I've already covered that one, so I'm going to just give that the nod. Yeah, we're there. Okay, any tips for writing a sci-fi mystery? Figure out the science part first. Figure out whether you want spaceships, or a single planet and aliens, or just wild science like genetic engineering, or figure out how the science works, and then ask yourself, what horrible thing could happen with this science that I can then have somebody figure out. And for example, spaceships, and somebody manages to create a spaceship that can break the way that normal spaceships travel through space or through hyperspace. And who is it that did that? And what are they using these special spaceships for? And why did they kill the waitress? And that is how I started Hunting the Corrigan's Blood, which is a science fiction mystery. If you want to do genetic recombination, I've got one that I'm actually doing on that right now. But you first figure out the science. You figure out the thing in the science that you can twist or break. You figure out who wanted to do it. You figure out who got hurt by it. And then you create the character who's going to track down the person who hurt or damaged the life of the person or people who are involved in this, back to the person who created the problem in the first place. And it's a lot of fun. All right, next. For marketing purposes, is steampunk fantasy or sci-fi? Steampunk depends on how rigorous you are with your steam and how fluffy you are with your punk. If you are mostly if you're not figuring out how the engines work and how the equipment works, it's more fantasy than it is sci-fi. If somebody could go back and kind of semi-build the world that you're creating, that's science fiction. Okay, and I think I said the other one was science fiction. Okay, fluffy is fantasy in that you are not rigorous with how you're using your steam. Okay, next thing is, how do you develop a fan base? You start a little bit at a time. You figure you are not writing for, no writer is writing for 1 million readers. Every writer is writing for one reader. One reader at a time finds you. There's no magic to it. Your first reader is the biggest moment in your life. And from there, every new reader you get is something spectacular this gift that you have been given of somebody's time and attention. And so you make sure that you are not going to waste their time. If you are writing something and you're thinking, well, I've got to get through this boring part in order to get to writing the good part that I'm excited about, kill the boring part. The reader doesn't, if you're not having fun writing it, they're not going to have fun reading it. You have to win your readers one person at a time. You have to be just religious about this, because how you present the stories determines whether you're going to have anybody come back to read the next one. So it's important. It's really important to make sure that everything you put out is the best thing that you can do at the time. Now, my first novels, they're okay. I still like them. I can still read them. I got some stuff in there that when I laugh, when I read them, I forget that I wrote it because it's been so long ago, and I'll actually make myself laugh, which is a nice thing to say, or to have happen. But I can see where I would do them completely differently if I were doing them now. Some of them I wouldn't even write now because I have changed so much from when I was an early writer to who I am now. And you take your time, you make sure everything is the best you can do right now, and nobody can ask more of you than that. Okay, you don't have to make it perfect. It's not going to be perfect. You get better as you do this, if you're paying attention, if you are always challenging your expectations. And that's the other thing. Strive to get better. No matter, I won an award for my first book. Never won another one, but I won an award for the first one. But I have gotten significantly better over the years because it is my intent, and I work hard to make sure that every book I write is better in some way, that I have learned something, and that what I have done is better in some way than the last thing that I did. And you don't ever let go of that. You don't just say, okay, well, I'm publishing, I'm comfortable, I'm going to write the same book now for the next 50 years. All right. Let me see. Okay, the next one here is Michelle. What do you do if you feel your story is in one genre, but your publisher wants to put it in another? You getting paid? I wrote a fantasy novel. The name of it was Talon. And I was so determined that I was going to sell it as a fantasy novel. And my publisher said, well, no, this is actually, we want to publish this as a romance fantasy. And I said, but it isn't really. It's a pretty rigorous fantasy novel. They said, no, we're going to publish this as, and I said, okay, I'm getting paid. Give it a shot. Let's see what happens with that. If you are the publisher, you get to publish it in the genre that you think is right. If you are dealing with the publisher, if you've signed a contract, if you are going to get paid for what you're doing, and if it's not going to kill the book, that's important, and we'll get onto that later. But if it's not going to kill the book, then you say, okay, let's give that a shot. All right, how can you best meet readers' expectations in a specific genre? Oh, don't do that. You are not writing for the reader. The second you do that, you're dead. The second you do that, your writing becomes stale and formulaic, and you are starting to try to meet other people's expectations, and you will have absolutely nothing new to bring to your books. So you look at the basic tropes in whatever genre it is that you're writing. The story of the farmer boy who discovers that he's really a king in fantasy, and the story of the woman who frees damaged aliens from oppression. The story, you find the tropes, and you say, okay, well, what is it about this that makes it science fiction? Well, it has rockets, and it has aliens, but that's not what you're writing. You're not writing rockets, and you're not writing aliens. You're writing people. And the people you are writing are facing conflicts, and the conflicts that they are struggling with are these things that are life or death to them, that are going to change who they are. And it doesn't matter what genre you write in. This is the thing I keep telling my How to Think Sideways guys, is it does not matter what genre you write in, and it does not matter what genre you read. And if you are a writer and you're not reading across all genres, you are crippling your writing, because there are different ways that different genres handle things like conflict and who is conflicted and why. But there is a universal truth in writing fiction that goes from beginning to middle to end with a character versus character in a setting with a twist. And it does not matter. You have to be familiar with all genres in order to be able to write truly well in any of them. Okay. And on to, I've got a stack more questions here. Okay. Okay. How do I pitch my idea to a children's book publisher? The thing I just gave you there, the sentence, which is protagonist versus antagonist in setting with a twist, is what you put into your cover letter. You start with Genevieve, young mother Genevieve. I'm going to just do this off the top of my head, so this is going to be rough, okay? Young mother Genevieve faces the kidnapper of her 5-year-old child in Vienna in the 1800s, okay? And discovers the kidnapper is a ghost. Okay, so that's the twist. The twist was and discovers that, okay. But you have to have those 5 elements in there. And you put that in as your introductory sentence on your cover letter. You include your 1-page, no more than 400-word synopsis of the story. And if you're writing a children's book, it could be less than 400 words. So you just make the synopsis cover what you didn't cover with the original sentence that's there. If you have never published anything before, you don't mention this. You don't say, this is my first novel. You just present yourself as a professional. You don't use colored paper. You don't excuse me. You don't say, if you don't buy my book, I'm going to kill myself. These are all amateur moves. These are tacky, bad. Don't do that. But basically, that's it. And then you look at children's publishers that have been in business for a while, who create books that you think are good, and you find their address in either the inside of that book, or you go to something like Writer's Digest's Publisher's Guide, and you send them a query letter. And that's basically it. All right. Okay. Is it possible, worthwhile to create writing projects as a side gig and not a full-time gig? I have an Etsy shop as my main gig, but I also want to write. Okay, yeah. Actually, I'm going to get to that specific issue at when we do the workshop. So I'm going to skip that question now. I will get back to it later, I promise. Okay. All right, that was the same thing. Okay. How do you explain to someone that the conflict is important, even if they assume you're taking shots at their favorite show? Change the name of the show. All right, let me see. I wrote romance. Oh, okay, let me put this up on the screen. I write romance fiction with such a massive amount of competition in the genre. How do you build a readership and not discouraged as you're writing by being one voice in a million? Also, and that jiggled. I lost the rest of the question. You can see it and I can't. Okay, being one voice in a million. That's done. Also, is a traditional a better path for an early writer? Is indie a better path? Indie's a better path always because you own your rights and you start making money as soon as people find your book. I have gone completely over to indie on this point at this, and that's the reason, is because you own your rights. Nobody can take them from you. You get paid starting right away. But how do you do this? You do it by being yourself, by finding the part of you that matters. And again, I'm going to recommend to everybody the Flash Fiction course. I've got a link for it. I've got some reasons for doing this, but this will help you. The Flash Fiction course that I've got set up, it's free. It's free, no strings, by the way. You don't have to give me a credit card number or anything. It's just free, and you'll have it permanently. The reason that you want to do this is just to find out what truly matters to you and what you want to write about, which may not be what you think you want to write about. And what matters to you is what will matter to the people who become your readers. This is how you differentiate yourself from every other romance writer out there. All right, now, okay. Okay, Jessica, let's say. I'm writing several romances, each within different genres. God, I need this to stop twitching. And they're all male, female triads to keep from shocking core readers. I build when something not man, woman comes out. I plan to release something different before the onslaught of, okay, so I'm having trouble with this question because everything keeps twitching. Okay, I'm trying this again. Shocking core readers, I build when something not, okay. Should I plan to release something different? Okay, this is the issue. If you have a chance of shocking core readers, you need to use a different pen name. And that is across the board. If you're going from male, female erotica to lesbian kink or something, you need to create a new name specifically for that type of book, because that is the one area where people will not forgive you if they jump into the wrong puddle. Okay, let me see. When working on a series and there's something that needs to be in the first book that you know people are going to think doesn't make any sense, but you know it makes sense later, is it a good idea to try to explain it? Nope. Nope. Put it in there, make it a mystery, let it hang. In fact, emphasize it, make it a mystery, and let it hang. It should be a clear question in the reader's mind that this thing was not answered, that is cool, and that they would like to see that you've got in your story. All right, I'm revising a short story, let me see, that revolves around traveling between alternate universes. Each universe has a different genre underpinning it. What genre do I list for Amazon? Each story is under its own genre. Stick them all under sci-fi, alternate universes. Yeah, go with sci-fi alternate universes. Even though each one is in a different style, a different genre, if it's a series, people in sci-fi will give you breaks that no other readership will. Sci-fi folks, and this has been one of the things that has made my career so fun, sci-fi folks are by nature people who will give just about anything a shot once. So yeah, sci-fi, alternate universe, and make sure that you've got something in there to tie it all together as being science fiction-y. Okay. And what have I got here? Okay, Kate says, is it valid to question the world and try to make sense of it in fiction? To have consequences, that's the only way to write. If you are not questioning the, okay, okay, let me back off from that just a little bit. For me, that's the only way to write. There are a lot of ways to write, and I can't tell you, but for me, if I were not questioning the universe, if I were not looking at the meaning of life in every book that I write, I would have no fun whatsoever writing it. So, and if actions don't have consequences, you're not writing fiction. You're writing vignettes, or you're writing magica, or some weird thing that is not fiction, because fiction is, a plot is where actions have consequences, and the consequences lead to results. And the consequences lead to conflict. And so, yeah, that's just, I'm not teaching all the other stuff. So if you're writing the kind of stuff that I'm teaching, that's the only way to do it. Okay, I am currently working, Patricia says, hold on. Okay, I am currently working on a fun, short, easy project It's kind of practice. I thought a children's picture book would be a little simpler than a long chapter book. It's not a genre that you regularly write in, but with your experience in writing, is there any advice you can share? Kids like talking cats. um, make sure that you love it. That's it. Make sure that it is something that if you had to read it to your kid 75 times between the time the kid started listening and the time the kid finally said, okay, I'm ready to hear something else, that you would not be the parent who wanted to come to your house and kill you. So make it something that is entertaining for the kid and fun for the kid, but that has a little bit of fun in it for the adult who has to read it. Okay. Okay, and Camilla says, I am a writer and a life coach. My coaching site is myname.com. Do I, hold on, need something separate for my writing work? I really want to publish under my own name rather than use a pseudonym. I just have a bunch of sites. I have hollylyle.com, which is mostly where I talk about my own writing. I have howtothinksideways.com, which is going to become Holly Lyle's Holly Lyle online writing school in about 2 to 3 weeks. And you just connect your sites to each other, make it clear what each site's purpose is, but don't change your name. Let people know that you're the person who writes, who coaches and who writes fiction and who does whatever other cool things it is that you do, because that's part of what makes you human. It's part of what's going to let people connect with you. All right. Harlequin, Kelly, and I can't see the last name because it's smushed. Harlequin is having a contest that has editors tossing chapters out to readers to vote on, a 5-step process of elimination. Oh God, that sucks. Okay, are these contests worth entering? No, okay. Don't do that to yourself. Only one person can win these. Just put your book out there. Set it up on Amazon, set it up on any of the other platforms that you like. Start reaching real readers who vote with their money. Having yourself beaten to a pulp by some crowd of people with random voting who are not actually going to buy what you've written is just asking for pain. Don't do that. All right, this next question is going to have to be the last question on genre because we got a long way yet to go. Okay, and this is Michelle. I asked about sci-fi mystery book, how much world building is too much? The more I write, the deeper it goes. It's not a bad thing, but I know not everyone would find even the small bits interesting, even if they could be relevant. Okay, you are one of my people. Yeah, I've done entire notebooks full of world building that I then did not use. What I'm going to recommend, I don't generally come on here and recommend my courses, and right now you can't buy it anyway because the shop doesn't work, but I have a course. It's called Create a World Clinic, and it shows you how to write just the part that you actually need in the world building. Then, of course, because I know my people, I have gone into detail on how to go on into the in-depth world building and how to at least try to make that land in your story. But, at the point where we get the new site up and the shop is working again, then, there will be links for that, but I don't have them today because right now the shop isn't working and you can't buy anything anyway. So the book is Create a Character Clinic by Holly Lyle. All right. Does the science in your, okay, no, right now, okay, the next thing I've got to go on to here is, let's go ahead and take a look at the first poll real quick. And our final results on that, about half of my people are science fiction and fantasy. I've got 7% romance. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, no. Commercial mainstream, 7, yes. Romance is 10. Science fiction and fantasy is 51. Mystery thriller, really hard to say, is 13. Horror paranormal is 5, and other is 13. Okay, so basically I think I've covered in genre enough stuff to help you get through genre. Okay, and I wanted to check on that before we go. Like, my hair is driving me nuts. Sorry. Okay, next thing is going to war. All right. Now, this is something with which I have avoided in 31 of 32 published novels. I avoided going to war. There is only one book with which I went to war. And this comes up because someone asks, when you get a publishing deal, a traditional publisher, how do you know when you can push back? In other words, when do you know when you should stick to something, or when do you go along? Okay. Now, there are all sorts of things with which you can come into conflict with your publisher. Some people get bent out of shape, and I am dead serious about this. Some people get bent out of shape if the words on the printed page are not in the same place that the author put them. Okay? We're going to call this person an asshole. This is not a legitimate reason to give your publisher shit over your book. All right? But there are things for which you can have mild conflict, which basically at that point you're not having conflict with your publisher. You are discussing things with your editor. This is things like how you use commas, where you want to use subjunctive voice instead of what is subjunctive has gotten to be kind of written out of the language, but I still use it because I know what it's for. If you have an area in the plot that you love and the editor doesn't love, you negotiate on that. Your objective and your editor's objective is to get the best book possible into print about 99% of the time. And then there's that other 1%. And my example for that is Hawksbar, second book published in what was to have been the Corey trilogy. And my editor for that book told me I needed to cut a chunk of words out of a massive chunk, like about a third of the book. I couldn't. I write very tightly. And when I went through and did the revision, I ended up adding words rather than subtracting them because I found places where the plot was weak. So what she did was go through and remove, okay, that Hawksbar, I need to explain, was the story of two people from warring countries who find themselves forced to work with each other in order to save their way of life from a really evil threat from outside. And one of the characters was Talon, and the other one, no. One of the characters was Hawksbar, and the other one was the man who was coming to rescue her. And my editor cut out the second character. Okay, this is a love story. It is because they told me we're going to publish these as romantic fantasy. So I wrote the first one as a romantic fantasy, and I wrote the second one as a romantic fantasy. And then to cut the book down, my editor removed the romantic lead. And at that point, yeah. And then she quit and left me with another editor who told me when I said, okay, well, the copy editor couldn't read the book because about a third of it was missing and it doesn't make sense now. And she said, well, just fix it. At that point, I went to war. And the way you go to war is you talk to your agent and you say, okay, I have already informed my readers that I am going to recommend they not buy the book if it is published as it is right now. I am going to recommend that they not buy the previous book either. Don't support a publisher that does this. I told my agent that was what I had done. I said, I will revise the book, that the full manuscript, but I cannot and will not revise this. They can bring it out in 2 books if they want, but no, I am not going to revise what I have been given. This is a broken book. And I gave them the plot. I told them exactly why the second main character had to be in there, which you shouldn't have to explain to anybody, but I did. And oh my God. I have never been so angry about anything. Well, yeah, I have, but I have never been so angry about a book in my life. And I wouldn't budge, and tore back down. And they published the book in one book at full length without taking out anything. And that was the last time we ever worked together, because if you go to war with your publisher, understand that they will never want to work with you again. But if it's worth it to save that book, and this was, then you do that. You say, okay, well, I am sacrificing a work relationship. I am going to piss these people off so much that they will never work with me again. But it's either that or put out a shitty book with my name on it. Okay, that's your choice. All right. Now, I am going to scoot back over to chat. Okay. View a request. Hold on here. Sylvia. I got no idea what that is. Oh, okay. No. All right. So now, let me see what you put up on poll number 2. Oh, God, I didn't do poll number 2. Okay, give me just a second here. No, I don't have a poll for that. Never mind. What I need is the poll on business. So now what I have to do is I have to take just a minute away so that I can set up the next poll, because the thing did not do polls the way I needed to. And I am sorry about that. And I'm creating a new poll. Okay, and the next poll is on business. Okay, it's not going to let me create a new poll now. That's fun. Okay, here's the thing that I want to ask you, and just, if you're not embarrassed by it, go ahead and answer in the side, just in chat. And Jean, see if you can grab as many of these as you can. Just kind of get a sense of the room for me, and then post it in a green bar. How much do you want to make, or how much do you need to make from a writing business? The categories here basically are under $1,000 a month, up to like $3,000 a month, over $3,000 a month, and the wild and wacky $1 million a year or more. Okay, so that's $1,000 a month or less, between $1,000 and $3,000 a month, over $3,000 a month, and $1 million a year. Okay, and just put your answers in the sidebar there, and we'll kind of grab through there. Okay. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to answer a couple of questions on having conflicts with your editor. Okay. Let me see. All right. Can you negotiate the contract? Whoa. Okay. Wow. This is, can you negotiate the contract? I'm going to have to copy this onto my page because it keeps twitching. Because people are answering. With let me see. Nope, nothing I can do can make that longer. See, I can't see the question on the board, and it keeps bouncing out of sight now. Okay, I keep hearing horror stories about how bad ones they are offering. Okay, oh yeah, that's a big deal right now. Contracts have gotten much worse. The amount of money that you're going to be offered is much worse. The number of rights that publishers are trying to grab is much worse. And if you have a good agent, you can negotiate the contract. And I got to tell you, it still doesn't help that much, because I have one of the best agents in the business, and I get about 50 to $100 in royalties a year from books that are in print. And this is books that are in print, in ebook, and I got to tell you, I make a hell of a lot more than that from ebooks that I have published myself, and from books that have revised or reverted to me, and that I have reprinted. So you can negotiate the contract. If you are not a lawyer, don't ever consider, you don't even think about negotiating your own contract. If you have a book with a contract with a legitimate publisher, an agent will be happy to negotiate that contract with you for a percentage. But frankly, that's why I've gotten out of the business. That's why I am no longer publishing with commercial publishers. I am strictly publishing my own work, is because there is just, contracts have gotten evil. Companies want your ebook rights forever, and they will consider that having your book in print, and they will hold the ebook sales against the print version sales, so that you will never see royalties from your ebook sales, because the print books didn't sell through. And if you want to make money, if you want to get paid for your work, and you go commercial publishing, and you don't become a #1 New York Times bestseller, you are going to get screwed. Okay. Okay, now then, let me, okay, now I lost a couple of questions here, because for some reason oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe they're still up here. Nope. Okay. A lot of people would be very happy making $1,000 a month or so. Some people need 1,500, would like to have double that. Some folks would like to be making about about $3,000 a month. A lot of folks, however, would be really happy in the $1,000 to $3,000 a month range. Okay, and I'm going to tell you that's doable. That is doable, writing fiction on a sane schedule. It's not doable immediately, but you can create a recurring income from your writing by publishing yourself that will make you easily that much money. Okay. Some folks want to make more, and every once in a while, somebody, okay. Now, here's a good question. Can new writers make as much as you do, or do you make so much because you're an established writer, as far as self-pub? I've had a website since 1997, I think. I've been around a long time, and I have been putting up articles about writing and promotions for my books and stuff like that for a long time. With that said, I have done a crappy job of promoting my fiction. Absolutely awful. It's like I just completely forgot that the fiction was there. I would write a book, I would forget to promote it when it came out, and some of them did really well anyway, and some of them didn't. But I didn't know how to launch at the time. If you learn how to launch your fiction, which is something that I am getting ready to start teaching, you can make easily more than I do, because I'm not making huge amounts. Somebody asked for real numbers at one point, and I will say that writing fiction exclusively with a commercial publisher, the worst year I ever had was $20,000 after taxes. And that was, oh my God, I don't even know how we made it that year. It was horrible. The best year that I have ever made, that I have ever had, writing doing my writing courses and writing my fiction has been $250,000 a year. And that was 1 year, and I haven't made that in a few years now because I've been having problems with the website, and haven't been able to write much fiction, and then the thing with my tongue and just a bunch of crap that has piled up and that we are getting fixed. But there was that one wonderful year when I made $250,000 before taxes, and it showed me what was possible if you launch, and that's that is something that I can't say everybody can do that, because some people you don't know who's going to be willing to work hard enough to become good. Being a good writer, being somebody who is commercially successful, is not an act of luck, though. You can, if you are willing to put in the time, if you are willing to learn everything you possibly can, and if you are willing to commit to making every story better than the one you wrote before, you can find a readership. You will find a readership. And if you learn how to launch your products, you can easily outstrip my best year. And my average year is about $100,000 before taxes, and that's comfortable now. I mean, I was never comfortable. I was never in a position of being able to make a real living when I was a writer. I mean, we lived on what I made, but we ate a lot of beans, and we live in a tiny place. There's nothing fancy in my life, but I get to do what I love for a living. And at some point, maybe I'll have another one of those $250,000 years again. That was fun. Okay, let me see. Now I've got questions here on the writing business. Okay, good. So the next thing I'm going to do here is start off with a couple of questions that I've already got on writing as a business. What's an off the top of your head list of resources and or professional human contacts a starting writer should have? For example, a website person, social media person, etc., in addition to an editor and a cover artist. And I got to have another sip of water. Hang on. All right. Wow. Okay. The point of writing fiction commercially, and by commercially at this point, I mean you are writing in order to get paid. I do not mean that you are writing for a commercial publisher. I write commercially because this is the way I make my living. Anything that you do for a living, that's what you do commercially. Okay? So the point of writing fiction commercially, whether you're an indie or as a commercially published writer, is to make money. Never spend more money than you make. Okay, so you have to know how much you've got coming in to start with, and then if your budget is zero, then your expenses have to be zero. Okay, you can get a couple of inexpensive courses. You can start with a free course. I have a free course. I recommend you start with that if your income is zero. Now, if you have another income, a side income that you can take some money from and consider that investing in yourself, then you keep the costs low, because what you want to be able to do is put up a book and have that book earn out for you. Okay, the costs that you put in it, you need to have those costs back in time to reinvest in your next book. Now, if you're writing short stuff, and you're putting out a story a week the way my daughter is, then her costs have to pay her back in the next week that from the time that story comes out, for her to stay in budget and to start building profit, profit is what you live on. If you're not making profit, you don't have money to buy food, you don't have money to buy gas for a car, you don't have money to pay rent for a house. So profit is the thing that you are working for long term. Short term investing, you may go into the hole a little bit, but keep it to something that pays you back within the length of time you need between the time you bring out your product and the time you bring out your next product. If you're bringing out a novel, You're writing 40,000 word novels, you're doing 2 a year, then you have 6 months to make back what you have invested in the next book so that you can reinvest that in the next book. And everything you make over that is what you get to live on. So obviously, you do much better if you keep your costs low. Okay, so the list of things that you need to start is microscopic. Okay, you can make do. You absolutely, when you are just getting started, get involved with a Good Writers group. We have some Good Writers groups on how to think sideways. We're working on creating a better way to do writers groups when we get over to Holly Lyle Online Writing School. But right now, free is your best friend. Okay, free is big. You find somebody from your writers group who's willing to be a beta reader. I do not recommend when you are first getting started that you do beta readers who are not fiction writers, because there are things that a beta reader needs to look for and see that a reader generally will not see. And readers have issues with telling you things like, well, I think you should do X. If you have a beta reader and your beta reader has been correctly taught how to beta read, and that's something we're working on, he won't say you should do this. He will say, well, okay, here's a problem where you dropped this character. How can you bring him back? The only kind of crit you need are in question form. Okay, how can you fix this? This is what I see as a problem. This is what's missing. How can you fix it? And then it's your job to figure out how to fix it. People don't, in a good crit, nobody is ever going to tell you what you should do. Okay? The next thing after that is you're going to need some bug hunters. Readers are awesome bug hunters. If you have a few folks who like what you write and they're willing to find the bugs for you, and by bugs I mean misspelled words, mispunctuated words, grammar errors, things like that, and they're willing to do this for you for free, do that while you can. Okay, it's not the way you're going to work forever, but to get your first few products up and to keep your expenses down, do that. Okay. The first thing you pay for is going to be your mailing list software. I recommend Aweber. I'm not going to put up an affiliate link or anything like that. There are a bunch of mailing list processors out there. Some of them are scammy. Some of them are really nasty. Some of them will take your mailing list stuff and send it and copy your lists and send them to other people. They will spam your readers. So there are GetResponse is good, MailChimp is good, Aweber is good. Beyond, as you start working down into the cheaper areas, you start asking for trouble. When you're small and your list is small, you aren't going to pay that much. You're going to pay something, but this is how you build a business. You have a mailing list, you send emails to you set it up so that your readers can find out when you have a new book coming out. You make cool stuff for them, and then when you have a new book come out, you let them know and let them get the cool stuff and let them get that and let them go and buy your books and then give them something cool for doing so. And you use your mailing list to do that. The next thing you get is a domain name, your name, and writer or whatever you have to do to get it to be your name, the name that you're putting on your books, and a website. And, for this, I recommend Tiger Tech. I have an affiliate link for them. I'm not going to put it here. If you want to know, you can ask me, or I'll be happy to give it to you. I'll put it on the download page for the replay of this. And if you want to use it, they are very inexpensive and they are absolutely awesome. I cried when I found out that I was going to have to move my sites off of them because I've gotten too big and I can't have a couple of different really cool things that I want to have. So I'm keeping a couple of my little sites with them just so I can, because I love them. They are wonderful. They will help you with they're just amazing. And that's going to cost you about $10 a month. From there, and when you get big, it costs you a whole lot more. But to start with, what you need, it's only going to cost you about $10 a month, and they're fantastic. Do your own work until you're making money. By that, I mean do your own writing, do your own editing, do your own cover art, do your own formatting. You can learn how to do all of this stuff. Scrivener will do a lot of it for you. But what you're doing is you are keeping costs down so that when you bring the book out, your first book that sells will start making you some profit. And as quickly as possible. You know, if you don't spend anything on the book, the first 39 cents you make from a 99-cent book is profit. And that means you win. Now, your time is an irrecoverable expense. Keep it short. I recommend starting with shorter fiction and selling it inexpensively, just so you have stuff up there. My daughter is seeing a huge kick. She's gotten more than 30 stories into her sales queue now. And she just has had a massive takeoff because she has been putting up one story every week consistently. And she is at 30 now. And no, I think she's actually almost at 50 because it's been a couple of weeks since I talked to her. And you know, these are really short stories. These are flash fiction. And she is selling them for a prime rate because they're erotica. And she is really doing well. I am so excited for her. But she saw this huge boost when she hit 30, when she had 30 different products that people could buy. And keep that number in mind. Consider what you can do that is short, that will help you get better as a writer at the same time that you are getting product out there. Because initially, you know, you're going to find 3 or 4 people. It's going to take a long time if you are slow to go from the first full-length novel and getting readers for that to the second full-length novel. Whereas if you are writing a 500-word story in erotica or 5 500-word stories in a packaged anthology for everybody else, because only erotica writers can get away with a single 500-word story being worth the money. The rest of us can't do that. 5 stories to 10 stories in an anthology and put those out once a month, and you will still have 12 anthologies by the end of the year if you're going once a month. If you're faster than I am, go for that. You know, that's great. But build your backlist. The backlist is what feeds you, because at the point where somebody likes one thing that you've written and they click on your name in Amazon or any of the other book places that you're selling it, and they get a list of 30 extra things that they can buy, they'll go, holy crap, I've hit the mother lode, and they'll just start buying. There is something about that weight of having a whole page of your stuff that is available right then that is magic. And that's the magic you're looking for. And you want to keep your costs down until you start seeing money coming in to pay for each book, and then go from there. Okay, now, once you actually get to the point where you're making enough money to be able to hire help, you want to hire a book formatter. You want to make your books as beautiful as you can. You want to hire a copy editor. You want to hire a content editor. You want to hire a cover artist. You want to hire a website developer at the point where you are making your full-time living from it. At that point, yeah, you want a website developer to come in. I waited way long to get somebody, and I was really lucky to find Dan, because he loves working with website with writers, and that's, you know, that was pretty amazing. He's excited not just about what I'm doing, but about what you guys are doing, and about helping you through the stuff that he's building for me, for you to use. And we're having a blast building this stuff now. It will be really fun once we get the website up again and everything working. All right. Let's see. I've got another question here. Regarding editors, mine has finished a university editing course and edited her husband's novel trilogy, but hasn't edited for money before. She's highly intelligent, and I value her opinions and feedback, but should I instead be looking for a big name editor? I've been looking around in my area, but so far have found none who work in my genre or who are willing to work in my genre. If you have somebody who is competent to do your editing, who has some editing experience, and they are willing to help you, take that. If you can, pay them. If you can't, promise to pay them as soon as you can. There are no big name editors who are working with indie writers. Big name editors work for big name publishers, and that will change someday. but it hasn't changed yet. So don't waste your time trying to find some big name editor. Find somebody who is competent and willing to work with you and whom you trust. And that's basically what you need. All right. Once you've written a handful or two of short stories, where do you sell them? Do you go exclusive with Amazon Kindle Universe, or do you distribute any place that you can? Okay, Amazon Kindle Universe did squat for me. I cannot recommend them, but I can say that your mileage may vary. So, try them. If your first couple of stories do well for that, then stick with that. If you, or conversely, try with a bunch of other places and see if the money that you're making with a bunch of other places plus just standard Kindle brings you a decent amount of money, and then figure out how much you'd be losing, that you'd be losing by the time you go over to the next, to just Kindle, whatever it's called, Universe. And make your decision, make an informed decision, and understand that you can at any point change your mind. You can take your books off of Kindle Unlimited and set them back to selling your stuff everywhere. For me, having all my stuff on a number of different places is better. Being able to sell it from my own site is huge, because there's no way of knowing what other people and their sites are going to do. Kindle may decide that they don't want to do indie publishing anymore. Amazon, rather. Barnes & Noble may decide that they don't want to do indie publishing anymore. Smashwords may go out of business. Things change. And the most important thing you can do is make sure that you have your bases as well covered as you can, to make sure you have income streams, even if they're small ones, coming in from as many different places as you can in order to keep yourself afloat if things go wrong. All right. Next on that. Do you write under a pen name? Nope, I don't. And why or why not? Because I decided when I was first starting into this that I wanted the people that had known me when I was a kid to be able to find me. And friends that I had made all over the world, and most of them haven't, but some have. And the ones that have found me, Jean, for example, we went to high school together, and she's doing the background thing for me right now. But by keeping my own name, I didn't get lost. So that's why I don't write under a pen name, is because I have a lot of people out there that I like, and I would like to be able to get back in touch. Okay. And then I did explain about why you must have a pen name if you're writing anything plus erotica. Okay. Okay, here's one. I am extremely partial to the smell and feel of physical books, and while I'll gladly read ebooks, I would prefer to read in print. Is there any way to IndiePub that doesn't completely eradicate use of the printed words? I have two words for you. One is CreateSpace, and the other is Lulu, L-U-L-U. And I've used both of these. They are free to use. Now, there are bundles and packages and all kinds of expensive crap that you can do with it, but if you take your time and if you learn what the software wants, you can publish your books there for free. And I don't mean just mostly free or just $100 or just, I mean free. I have not paid a cent to use either CreateSpace or Kindle or Lulu, CreateSpace or Lulu. Okay, both of those take the money that they get paid. Now, I mean, I pay for the books that sell, but that's okay. That I pay a percentage, and the books go out to the people who bought them. I don't have to worry about shipping and handling, not from Lulu, not from CreateSpace. These are both superb services, and if you take the time to learn how to use them for free, again, you are keeping your costs down. This is essential. This is essential if you are making it on your own. You keep your costs down, and what you make then, even though I don't make huge amounts from those books, what I make is profit. And that means that I can feed it back into building new books, or I can pay bills with it. And both of those are very good things. All right. What do you think of Amazon Create Space to get you published? Yeah, it's worth doing. It is worth doing. Now I've got to say, I basically do print editions as a courtesy. I don't sell enough of them to actually pay me back for my time in doing them. Well, maybe, over a period of years, I will. Up front, I don't make my money back on them in figuring in what my time is worth, because my time is actually fairly valuable. And you have to figure out your dollar amount for the time too. Initially it's going to be zero. That's when you're getting started. And once you start getting paid, then you figure, okay, well, what could I be doing instead of this that's actually going to pay me? But for the print books, I do them myself because I don't make enough from the sales to warrant big expenses, because I easily sell 1,000 copies to one ebooks to print. That is for everything straight across the board. All right. I'm a slow writer. I'm not talking about being blocked, though that happens too. I just mean that words come very slowly to me, and it's rare that I hit the zone and churn out high word count. I hate that word churn. Writing is not churning. Writing is creating. It's awesome. If you think of it as churn, you're going to hate doing it. Anyway, don't churn out a high word count in a single sitting. I fear I might never be what anyone would call prolific. Does this mean I can't make a living off my writing? It seems like producing new material quickly is really important. Okay, and this is where we get to that little workshop. Okay, and this is a cool workshop. If you've already downloaded it, let me see the download. It should be in pop-ins. Okay, just click the download link. This is the workshop that I am going to do with you right now, okay? Because this is how you make money as a writer, okay? And we're going to do a workshop, and you're going to start figuring out how you can start making the money that you need to make to help you survive to write the next book, okay? So and I'm actually going to download this. Oh, I've got it here. I apparently did not save that. Okay. I'm going to Dropbox. And hang on a second here, because I've got to get the thing, because I thought I saved it on my page and I did not. Okay, live chats. There we go. Okay. Now, I've got this set up for you. And what we're going to do is we're going to just briefly walk through how you figure out what kind of products you need and how often you need to make them in order to start making a living at this, okay? So first thing is how much money do you need to earn from your writing each month? Now, this is your desperation money, okay? This is not how much I really want to make. What would be fun money? This is not $1 million. This is what would cover my bills, what would keep me in food and shelter and clothes and my basic day-to-day expenses, and maybe going out to eat and to a movie occasionally, just a little tiny bit of fun money. All right. And if you have that, if you've downloaded that, we're going to now go through this, okay? You write down that amount, okay? And then you multiply that by 12 to get how much you need to make each year, okay? Hang on to this number, okay? The next thing that you do is you're going to figure out how many words per day you actually write. Now, if you are sitting here, let me get this a little bit smaller and out of my way so that I don't have to. Okay, there we go. If you are doing this, writing right now, only occasionally, you're only sitting down to the typewriter maybe once a week, or the computer. Wow, typewriter. Or you're only doing, maybe a couple of times a month you'll boot up the computer, or you'll break out your notebooks or whatever. You can't make a living doing that. You just can't. Okay, that's not going to happen. And fantasies that it will need to be just pushed aside. If that's what you are willing to commit to it, you are not going to make a living as a writer. Okay? With that said, you do not have to be a massive producer of words in order to make a living. And so my example here, okay, my person basically is writing 250 words a day. Okay? She is capable of writing 750 words a day if she pushes. Okay, the best she has ever done is 750 words a day. Okay, so that is how many words can you write if you push, and this needs to be a number that you have actually accomplished at some point. Okay, if you had one day when you wrote 10,000 words, but most of the time, if you push, you're only doing 1,000, don't write 10,000. Write 1,000, okay? Because the objective here is to give you a number that you can live with and not die. And as someone who has had a little bit of excitement lately from overworking, and I recommend not dying very strongly, okay? Add these two numbers together. 250 and 750 were my example. They add up to 1,000. And what you've got after that is you divide that in half. Okay, so if you are looking at the 1,000 words a day as this cumulative number, now you divide it in half, 500 words a day, okay? And that's what my example person here is going to start making a living with, 500 words a day. Okay, now you don't write every day because every day will hurt you, okay? You don't want to push every day. So you figure out your target word count, okay? And then next, you ask yourself, without working to failure, and while making sure you don't overwork yourself, do not do what I did a couple of years in a row and work 12 to 17-hour days, 7 days a week. Okay, this turns out to be not good for you. All right, so don't do that. But without working to failure, and working to failure means you write until you can't write anymore. And when you do that and you set that as your standard, then every time you don't hit that impossible number, you fail. Don't ever do that to yourself because that makes writing a misery. Okay, that's why you don't pick your top number as your daily word count. You pick half of that. You pick half of that, what you're usually doing plus what you could do. And half of that is your number because that is something you should be able to comfortably hit every day. Okay, how many words are you going to get if you figure that you get 4 weeks in a month and 30 days in a month? And I know, that doesn't add up, but that's okay. What you're going to do now is when you have your target daily word count, you are going to and you decide you're going to take 2 days off per week, then that's 8 days. Okay. If you decide you only want to take off 1 day a week, you can do that and you're not going to kill yourself. Then that's 4 days. Okay. But you subtract that number from 30 and you get 30. You get 22 work days. I've got it right here in front of me and I'm kind of fading. This has gone a little longer than I had anticipated and it's going to get longer yet. So, buckle in. Okay, now, once you have the number of days, of actual work days that you are going to have available per week, you multiply that by your target number of words per week. Okay, so my 500 word writer who is taking off 2 days a week, every week religiously, is still doing 11,000 words per month. Okay, 11,000 words per month is 22 flash fiction stories. It is a bunch of short stories, 4 or 5 short stories. It is just roughly 1 novella. It is a couple of figure 2,000 words per chapter. It's like 5.5 chapters of a book per month at 500 words a day and taking every weekend off. Okay, this is doable. This is not killing yourself. The trick to it is that you have to be consistent. You can't just do it sometimes. You have to religiously sit down and do your words. And if it's only 500 words, you can see how they add up. Okay, now, once you do that, the next question you have to ask yourself, you figure, how many words of first draft can you write per month? Okay, 11,000 is pretty good. How many words of first draft can you write per year? That's 110,000 words per year. And yeah, I just did that in my head because I forgot to put it on the page. But that's what, if you figured novels are 40,000 words and up, that's 2 novels and a pretty good chunk of a third written in first draft. Okay, now here's where it gets a little tricky, okay, because first draft isn't all you're going to write. Okay, and the next part is, have you ever completed a successful revision of your first draft? Meaning that it was successful because you liked it, people who read it liked it, and it told the story that you wanted to tell. If you have never done this, then stop now, because you do not dare publish unrevised first work. But I have this cheap, it is a cheap workshop. The 7-day crash revision workshop that is set up specifically for this case, for people who have to keep their costs down, but who cannot afford how to revise your novel, which is not a cheap workshop. It is an expensive big course. And this will walk you step by step through how to revise your fiction. And it's basic. It doesn't go into a lot of detail. It works better for short fiction than for long fiction. It's a little bit stressful. It's not as stressful as the big course, but it's a little bit stressful. And right now you can't buy it because the shop doesn't work. So there is a link in the workshop, or in the worksheet, but you cannot buy the course until we get onto the new site, because again, the shop is broken. So this will forward to the new site when the new site goes live. Meanwhile, if you have revised successfully, you need to figure out how many pages of revision you can do in a day. And that's roughly 220 words a page if you are doing files rather than doing manuscript pages that you print out. I strongly recommend that you revise from printed manuscript pages, but if you want to blow me off on that, then you can just figure 220 words is a page, and figure out how many of those you can successfully have successfully revised before in a day, and take that as your number. Okay, now how soon do you need to start earning income from your writing? Okay, that's the third part. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, or never. It's a hobby. Okay, if it's a hobby, then all time restraints are off. But if you actually need to start to have products up in a month, this is doable. And maybe if you have some pretty good cover copy or halfway decent cover art that you do for yourself, you can earn that first 35 cents off of a 99-cent ebook in the first month. Or, if you go a little longer, if you have 3 months and do a slightly more ambitious project, get your first reader, okay? It starts small. You're not going to get 5,000 readers on the first day unless, you've done something really, really wild, had an amazing cover art, and have probably committed a crime. So let's see. Find out, step 4. You have to figure out your product goals now. And this is going to be, I don't have an example in here because this is going to be specific for you. What you have to do is figure out how many words you can produce in a year, how much time you have before you need to get a first product into place. You have to divide the number of the amount of time you have into days for if you need to have something up in a month, and into months for all other time frames. And then you divide your time in half. Half of that is going to be to writing first drafts, and half of it is for other stuff. Okay, so divide your time in half. Then how many words of first draft can you write in the first half of that time? And this is how much you can produce before you need to stop and move on to the next thing if you're going to hit your goal of having your product on the market in the time you set. The next thing you do is you divide your remaining days in half. So if you had a month, if you had 22 days, and from those 22 days you have 11 to write, Now you're going to have to split the other 11 in half. So you have 10 for one. I'm sorry. So you have 5 for one and 6 for the other. I strongly recommend you do 5 for the revision and 6 for everything else, because everything else is significant. The remaining half of the time, you revise in 5 days. And then you go through and you do your editing, your typesetting, cover copy, cover art, formatting for platforms. You can learn how to do these online. I have a little course for it. It's $11, I think. I'm not sure. Right offhand. And again, you can't buy it today because the shop doesn't work. But by the time if you are going through this, by the time you have something that's ready, the shop will be back up. So what I do have for you today, and this does work, is, and I'm going to walk you through the process, the How to Write Flash Fiction That Doesn't Suck course. And this is if you need to have short fiction live products as soon as you possibly can. Let's say your deadline is a month to production, and you are at least somewhat familiar with revision, so you're not going to put something out that's terrible. Okay. What I'm going to do now is switch over to screen share, and I'm going to show you. This is screen share, and this is the one I want. Share that. Okay. What you've got here is, if you go to that link, you will not land on this page, but if you just go to the shop, this is where you'll link if you click on free flash fiction. I wanted to show you that just in case, okay? The next thing is, this is the sales page. And from the sales page, let me scoot this up so I can use it. You are going to, read the stuff, read the testimonial, which is pretty cool, find out what you're going to learn, and then you click the bottom, okay? When you click the button, you go to checkout, but do not hit PayPal, because you cannot pay for this. This is a genuinely free course. You do not pay a dime for it. And if you are already a student, I'm going to show you how to skip this process entirely, because you already own this course. If you are a student, if you have an account in How to Think Sideways at all, then you have this course, okay? You click the little robot thing here. You click Submit Your Order, not PayPal, Submit Your Order, and you will go to, you will get emails. And the first email is going to give you your link to log in. It's going to just say welcome and your name, the name that you put in when you fill out the form that you get from this page, okay? So it'll say welcome, Bob. And you come down here and it has your username, it has your password, and you click this link to log in. That will take you straight to the Classroom Hub. Okay, but we have a couple more steps to go there. If you are already a member, you just go to this page right here, log in, and it takes you to this form where you put in your username and your password, and you click login. Okay. The other message that, and any of you guys who are not signed up for the How to Think Sideways Writers Bootcamp updates, if you are here, you need to sign up for this now, because this is what's going to get you safely to the new school without having your account screwed up, okay? This email right here. So you want to confirm your How to Think Sideways Writers Bootcamp updates. You want to click that link if you are already a member, but you are not on this list. You need to add yourself to this list. And where you add yourself to this list is here, okay? You go to, this is the new member page right here. When you log in, this is where you land every time. And if you are not getting the newsletters, you need to start here, okay? Member updates, sign up for the newsletter, because this is how I'm going to contact people to let you know that you don't have any more, you are almost out of time for making sure that you have the right email address for your account, because the new software is going to use your email address as your username, and we have to have the correct email address for you, or we can misplace your account and it will be a pain for you to get it back. Okay, so please put yourself on the members updates if you aren't there already, and if you are, watch for time to update your account. Okay. Now, let's get back to How to Think or Flash Fiction. Flash Fiction is this link right here. When you log in or when you are brought automatically to this page, you click this link. And that link takes you to this thing. Up here it will say who you are, and this is your email address so that you'll know that you're actually on the right page. And you go to lesson 1. Now you can also see the bonus thing. The bonus thing does not work. You can also see Flash Fiction. Flash Fiction Forums does work. Okay, but I'm not going to go into the forums right now. You'll be taken to them automatically when you click the link. You want to go to lesson 1. Okay, lesson 1 gives you a download button. Okay, it also gives you links into the main community. And when a week has passed, right over here on the side, you'll get Flash Fiction lesson number 2. And 1 week after that, you will get Flash Fiction lesson number 3. Now, the odds are pretty good that we're not going to make it to Flash Fiction lesson 3 on this software, but you can start now and your account will carry over to the new site, including where you were in the lessons. Okay, as long as we have your correct email address before we go live. All right, and then finally, this is the forum. It's a busy forum. There are lots of folks who are doing this stuff. It's a lot of fun, and people are selling the things that they have done from this course. Okay, and with that, I'm going to stop screen sharing. Oh, wow. I didn't show you the screens, did I? God, I suck at this. All right. This is where the product is in the shop. This is where you click the button on the page that you click if you go to that link. Right there, down here. Check out one more time. Holy crap. Okay, this is where you submit your order. Don't use PayPal. You have to check I'm not a robot because we have a problem with robots. This is the first email. It comes with this title, welcome, and your first name, username, password. Click here to log in. This is where you log in. If you're just coming to the site, it's howtothinksideways.com. You click the login button here. You sign in here. This is the second email that you need to get. And you confirm this email by clicking this link when you sign up for it. This is where you sign up for it, right here. This is where you go to how to have free Flash Fiction. This is the first lesson page. You'll have your name up at the top. This is the lesson. You go to first lesson 1. This is the lesson right here. You get your download here. It's a lesson plus a worksheet. This is the bonus. The bonus does not work because WordPress broke it. This is the forums. The forums do work. Join them and hang out with the folks. This is what the forums look like. And that is the actual Flash Fiction forum. How to write Flash Fiction that doesn't suck. Right up at the top, you know you're in the right place. Oh, boy. Okay, stop that. Now I'm back. Okay, I apologize for that unfortunate and wordy mess. Okay. Now, Jean is answering some questions over on the side. Okay. There. Now, I apologize. I think I did. Oh, okay. The screens did show. Okay, awesome. Good. All right. Now I've got a few questions here. One step is on hold because WordPress broke my site and broke my shop. And until I have money coming back in again, I still have some from Kindle and Amazon and stuff like that, but or Barnes and Noble and Amazon. But I have taken a massive pay cut for the last month, two months since we discovered that this was going on. So we have to get the live site up now. It's not going to be beautiful when you get there. We have all this gorgeous stuff that is going to be coming to it. But what we have is going to be off of WordPress and it's going to work, including the shop. So it'll get pretty after it gets good. Yeah, and I lost the question. I'm sorry. I'm starting to wear out here. Okay, Claire says, for ebooks to sell your own format, what digital format should you use? I offer Mobi, I offer PDF, and I offer EPUB. That covers the basics. If you can do more than that, more power to you. That's as many as I can keep up with. Okay, would using a pen name be a good idea if you have an odd name or have pronounced? You can use it if you want. I like my name, so I never considered a pen name. If you have a name that, okay, there's John Cougar, there's John Cougar Mellencamp, and there's John Mellencamp. And who can you take seriously? I take John Mellencamp seriously because that's his actual name. John Cougar just sounds weird, please. Henry John Duchendorf had a long name. He came into music as John Denver. And, John Denver sold very well, but I think, maybe it sold better than Henry John Duchendorf because he was selling songs about Denver, Colorado. So, it's your mileage may vary. You have to figure out what you want to do. If you like your name and it's long, keep your name. If people will adjust. I have an unpronounceable last name. People look at Lisle and they invariably say Lizel or Lizzle. If I explain, hey, it's Carlisle without the car, then they get it. But aside from that, no, nobody ever gets my last name pronounced right, and I use it anyway. It's my name. Okay. Do I think novellas and shorts are the way to go given the new Amazon changes? I am not getting involved in Kindle Unlimited. I am not going to go with that. I will use other sites first. If they make it impossible for me to publish my work there and publish it anywhere else, then I will dump Amazon before I dump going to all the other places that I have. I don't know what their unlimited program is going to do. I know what the page count thing, I know the issue. I don't know. I wouldn't use unlimited. That would be my solution. I would use just regular Kindle, and I would go with having my stuff up on a bunch of other places in case they decide that the only way you're going to be able to publish is Kindle Unlimited, and you find out that you have to start building your business elsewhere. This is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about having your work in other people's platforms. At any time, any platform that you are counting on can tank on you. Right now, my own platform is tanking because of a WordPress change. So my solution to that is eliminate WordPress, which is somebody else's software. I am having my own software made, and it will update when we decide to update it, and for the reasons we decide to update it, and it will not break. You get kind of twitchy about stuff like this after a while, after you have seen things that you have counted on go under. All right. Mellencamp is a relative of my best friend. That's cool. All right, now let's move on here. That's all of the questions on that. And okay, now I've got somebody here who says, I am, and this is still under business, but this is one that I just wanted to save for after the workshop, okay? I have a blog where I post a free story every week. Last year I published 6 books and did the year before as well. I've been going to book festivals to sell and meet potential readers and develop a newsletter list. I have several short stories that I put out to e-zines and magazines and add stories to the queue every year. What else can I do? I would actually recommend doing a little bit less, and I will explain why. I suggest that you not offer a new story that you write every week for free forever. I suggest that you set these up in a member site with one free story out on your blog as a teaser, that you have the rest of the stories available for a very brief time in the membership area, so that all of your members get to see each of these stories first for free. But then I suggest that you put them into anthologies and set up the anthologies on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, Apple, Kobo, any place that you decide you want to work with and want to use. And once you get those up there, pull those stories from the membership area. Okay, they don't stay there forever. You need to be paid for your work. And there are things you do for free, but you do not give away everything for free and hope to make a living at it. Once you have the stories published, Once you have a series of these things going on, then the next thing you do is you include, uh, depending on the length of the stories, one new story that nobody has ever seen in each anthology. If you're doing flash fiction, make it 5. And you include this new story in only the published version of the work. And you give your readers, your longtime members, a hefty discount coupon that they can get this from you, from your shop, for a limited time. Or you offer this for the first few days as an early bird special on Amazon and other platforms. We're just going to say on the platforms, okay, for a limited time at a sale price, and you let your folks know first, and then you bump it up to the regular price. And the folks who are not your members, then you do your launch and you bring them in. Okay. And then let's see. I'm curious about the real financial. Okay, I already did that one. Okay, now I've got one more question here, and this is going to be the last question in this topic. Okay, and that is, do you have any marketing advice? Facebook ads versus BookBub ads versus gathering subscribers' emails up to send content. Okay, Facebook cost me a ton of money and didn't make me any. I tried. I did. I took a course. I followed the instructions. I was just faithful in getting that right. And I lost a bunch of money on that. I don't even know what BookBub is. I'm sorry. There are some things, what I found that works, and it is the thing that works 100% of the time, and it has never failed me, is a mailing list. You invite the people that you want to have read your books to your mailing list. And you do this by presenting some sample copies of your work on your website, by letting them see who you are, by writing genuine posts as you, and letting them see not just the good parts of you, but sometimes your warts and your frustrations and other things like that. You are honest about who you are and what matters to you. And then you put up a little sign-up page for your newsletter, and you invite people to join your newsletter, and you give them some good content. Content is something that I discuss at length elsewhere, excuse me, and I don't want to get too much into discussing content, but the mailing list, if you can, and also don't gather up subscribers' emails. Don't gather up emails of friends and things, except to just invite them to your website one time as a personal single email from you directly, note only, because if you mass mail people, you are spamming. Okay, even if they are people even if they're your friends, from a legal perspective, if you send out a bunch of emails to a bunch of people who did not ask you to send those emails, and you do it all at once, that's spamming. And there are fines for that. And don't do that. Just invite people to come to your website, and then make an attractive offer. Give them something really cool on the back end of the newsletter, something they can download that day, like a free story, or whatever, a coupon for the book, or something that would make you want to sign up for the list. Make it good. And make sure that 100% of your list is legitimate, that you have had people who have voluntarily signed up, and that they have double opted in by proving that they have clicked a link. If you have any software that does not have you do both of those things, you are asking to get sued. Okay. God. Okay, we've done the product walkthrough. Okay, that's got to be the last question there. All right. And we've discussed the job. So they're basically, what we are down to now here is me being really wiped out and having just a couple more questions to go. And this is on the How to Think Sideways class itself. I will you can get some live questions on the class itself in there. Okay, but all right. I'm gonna go ahead and go through these questions first. Okay, this is, how do you get over the fear of perfection? My inner editor is a vicious little beast, constantly reminding me of how far I need to go in my writing. I want her to shut up so my muse can help. Is there any advice? Okay. This is a tiny little workshop right here, okay? You have to close your eyes and you have to see the part of you that is your inner editor as a person. This is your left brain, okay? This is half of who you are. And the part of you that comes up with all the cool ideas and all of the wonderful, remarkable concepts and stories and characters, that's your right brain. Your left brain is capable of squelching your right brain. So if you are unable to write because you are going through this and trying your very best, and every time you put words on the paper, your inner editor says that sucks, this is what you do. Okay, close your eyes. Imagine your free spirit, your muse, the voice inside of you that passionately loves to write, as a character. Okay, it can be a person, it can be a creature. Mine is most of the time a blue jay. And it likes sparkly things just as much as I do. But you see this amazing, beautiful part of yourself, and now you put it in a cage, and you lock the door, and you make it a big lock. Okay, that's your writing. That is this beautiful part of yourself, this beautiful creature that you can personify as a separate character, as your muse, that is locked inside of a cage, and the cage is padlocked and the lock is heavy. And your job is, every time your inner editor tries to stop you from writing fiction, to see that cage and to understand that when you write, you are breaking that lock. You are setting this character that you care about, this creature that you care about, free. You might have to do it a bunch of times, okay? But you do it. You do it and you stick to it. And you stop your inner editor by visualizing that cage and by visualizing breaking that lock by just keeping going. You don't have to write well. All you have to do is get words on the page. Everything can be revised. All you have to do is get words on the page, and I guarantee you, your first words will suck. My first words on every book I write suck. I accept this. This is part of the process, okay? Just hang in, all right? Next thing, is there a secret to letting go of your writing and letting other people see it? Okay, this is what happens if your editor is not inner, but outer, okay? So I'm so afraid of getting laughed at. Any advice for dealing with criticisms, especially when they're right? First off, if you're getting criticisms, they're wrong, okay? If you are getting a crit you can use, all you are getting is questions. This part looks broken to me. This part feels broken to me. How can you fix that? If somebody says, "Oh, I don't like this character," they're not helping you. That is not a valid criticism. Okay? This is important. Don't ask non-writers to give you crits. They don't know how. You can ask them to bug hunt. Don't ask them to crit. Writing is a skill. It's like asking your neighbor how to do surgery. It is a skill. It takes specific steps. It takes specific hard-earned knowledge. And to earn this knowledge and to do this, you then do not go to your next door neighbor and say, "Okay, well, I've got this thing on my tongue. What should I do?" You go to a doctor. Okay? So if you are a writer, you go to another writer. Okay, next. Don't allow writers who pride themselves on being hard critiquers anywhere near your work, ever, ever. What these are, these are folks who like to cause pain, who see other writers as something they need to squelch, as a competition. And so they will give you hard crits, mean crits. They will try to tear your work down. Do not ever put your hands in anybody who claims to be a hard critter, who claims to give rough crits. What these are is the enemy. and you don't engage with the enemy. You go around. This is Sun Tzu. You just be where the enemy isn't, okay? The objective of a good critique is to show you what you did right and to gently ask you how to fix what you did wrong. Anything other than that is not a good critique. Okay, and finally, readersmeetwriters.com, which is not available right now because of a WordPress update, we'll be back. There's a forum that's up right now, and you can join the forum at readersmeetwriters.com and talk to people. But right now, the actual site itself is not available. You can download all the stuff we discussed from the forum, but I am not in there, and I cannot get in there until we get the main site fixed because paid. All right, and I'm going to just skip the rest. There are a bunch of other things here. Oh, God, I don't want to skip this one. Okay, here is somebody who is saying, I want to be a working writer. I've done the artist's way. I've tried bird by bird. I've written down the bones. I have a degree in writing. I've been a voracious reader, for a frequent starter of writing projects since primary school. I want to believe that How to Think Sideways will be the key to getting my right brain to cooperate with my left brain, but I've been disappointed so many times before. I took the recommended right brain, left brain quiz, and your description of my Empress's right brain insistence on throwing shiny new characters and premises at me, and her refusal to revise or edit washed over me like a wave of peace and recognition. However, I'm terrified of failing again. And she wants to know, okay, what do I do to succeed? And this, okay, this is where we go back one more time to the pop-up, okay? The pop-up is finish your first 5 stories in 3 weeks. Join the class now. This is the link. And flash fiction is the solution to not being able to finish work, because one flash fiction story is no more than 500 words. And it's broken up into sections of 100 words, 300 words, and 100 words. And I walk you through the sections, 1 per week for 3 weeks, absolutely free. If you do the course, you will finish stories. And once you finish stories and make a practice of finishing stories, you will be able to finish longer stories. But start with 500 words. If you have never finished anything, then this is my freebie. Okay, this is one of the best courses I have ever written, but it is free and it will stay free, because sometimes this is what people need right here, is just to be able to finish what they start. And this is how you do it. Okay, so it's over in pop-ins. Okay, and just click the join the class now button, and it will take you back to the page with the workshop that I showed you how to get in there. This is how you do it. And with that, you've got your download, and you've got the pop-in for the class that actually still does work. You know, WordPress hasn't yet managed to break that. Give them a couple of days. And from that, I am going to have to bail, because I am I am so tired. There are still a few questions on here. I will pick those up on our 6th session, but we actually have gone 2 whole hours. And thank you so much for sticking with me. You guys have been awesome. I cannot believe so many of you hung in this long. And I will get the page set up. I will have the link to the page on my blog. Oh, actually, you already have it. It's the download link. So, but I will still put it on my blog for people who come in later, for how to download the worksheet, and also to watch the video if you missed it, and to get the link to Think Sideways, Flash Fiction, and the other links too. Okay, and thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I look forward to talking to you again next month for our last of the How to Think Sideways live chats.